Oh, hello.
Hi there.
How are you doing?
Good. Let me turn you down a little bit here. Okay. Can you still hear me?
Yep, I can hear you just fine.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
And there's Mr. Steve.
Hey there.
Okay, that was weird. Oh.
Yeah, my video just shut off.
You're back.
Yeah, along with the ever-present, your network connection is unstable.
Of course.
I got
That
to
does.
stop using the work computer for this.
Oh, okay. I was going to say that really doesn't make sense at your house, but if you're going through the VPN, I guess it makes sense.
Yeah.
So, anything new this week? Steve kind of looks like he froze up.
Oh, and I dropped again.
Yeah,
Are we
okay.
back? There we go. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
you look like you froze that time, so
yep. So we're moving in 2 years and they want us to clean up and get rid of old stuff and
hmm.
any junk and whatnot. So I'm finding stuff like this.
Oh, cool.
8-inch floppies, because everybody needs 8-inch floppies.
Put those things on eBay.
Um, at $1 a piece, that'd be about $1,000.
I probably make more than that off of them. I don't know
Unfortunately, I have no way to verify that they don't have
anything on them, right?
any sensitive information
Hmm.
other than just do a full magnetic wipe on them.
It used to be. I had some of those I got from an auction. Um, and I didn't make like a fortune off of them, but I made quite a bit. It was kind of funny because I was like, nobody's going to want this obsolete media. Okay, now I can't hear you, Art. I don't know what you did, but now we can't hear you.
What?
Art, I can't hear Art. Art was saying something, and I couldn't hear him. I see his lips moving. But I see your lips moving, Art, but I can't hear you. I don't know what you did.
Did you push the button on the inline control for your headset? Maybe,
He,
maybe
he
not.
was he was adjusting
Can you hear
volume.
me now?
There we
Yep,
go.
it was
Yeah,
the
that was
button,
the
wasn't it?
problem. I hit the button on my headset.
Uh, all I know is you were adjusting volume, and now I couldn't hear you. Uh, so we were saying stuff about 8-inch floppies, and I think you you were trying to say something.
Oh, yeah, I have a bunch of them up in a closet here.
Yeah, I don't see him on eBay right now. Oh, there's some. Nope. That's normal size floppies. $10. Yeah, maybe the market for them has just declined to a little bit of nothing. I got my right before the meeting started. I got my M5 stack order.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Yeah. No tariffs or anything. It got here before all that nonsense. So I probably should have ordered more stuff, but I didn't want to risk too much. And I got a new little joystick to play with from them.
That's cool.
Yep,
So
this
the
one's
So when do the tariffs officially start? I've
which time? Sorry.
well, I keep hearing they're coming, and then pushback, and then they're not going to be here until the 1st of June, and then
Yeah,
so forth.
it's supposed to be the 2nd of June.
2nd of June?
Is like the first round, and then but in I guess the 2nd of June, you'll still be able to qualify for the under $800 order amount. But most of the places that I want to order from in China have just stopped shipping to the United States for right now. Um, but I guess
Where'd you go?
maybe it's the 2nd of May is the first round, and the 2nd of June is the final round. I would have to look at that thing again. There's two different dates, and one of them one of them still qualifies for the under $800 deal, and one of them doesn't. So I may have the 2 days mixed up,
Well, it has been extremely confusing to say the least.
to say the least. And like a lot of the AliExpress stores that I want to buy from aren't even shipping to the US right now. I guess everybody's waiting to see what actually happens. So I got I got in right before they stopped shipping, but that little joystick is supposed to be a Hall effect joystick.
Okay.
So it's supposed to be far more accurate than the other pieces of joystick that I have.
How do they do that? Two sensors for X and Y, and well,
And a magnet they wiggle around in the middle.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I maybe there's like a little bar of Hall effect sensors. Maybe they're doing like some sort of
expensive.
analog read off of them. I don't know.
I think you could do that pretty easily with like a thimble made out of screen and two sensors, one at noon and one at 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
If both are going down, you're moving toward southwest. If both go up, you're moving toward northeast.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Well, open it up.
Uh,
Yeah. Tear it apart.
No, don't.
uh, I'd find the little Allen wrench.
I was kidding. Please don't.
Yeah.
it can't
You
hurt
bought
it.
a spare in case you can't get it back together again, right?
No, no, no. These things are actually made to come apart. See, there's a little
Really?
there's a little screw there. Yeah. Um, a lot of these devices have a uh like a small STM32 or a Arduino or an Atmega 328 on them, and you can flash new firmware to them.
Really?
So they've got a JTAG header on most of them. So they're made to come apart. New LP. Who would be new LP? New LP showed up and disappeared.
Yeah, he's
I'll be back.
got a new handle.
Okay.
There you are.
My level of frustration is about there.
Oh,
What's
okay.
up?
Are you frustrated at the world right now?
No, at solid state drives in my desktop.
Oh, yeah. I can I can get that.
Okay, I'm curious. What happened?
Uh, I've gone through like four solid state drives on our machines here, and they're just not very stable. They fail. And I thought it would be a good idea to make them the boot drive so that it would be fast and efficient. And all it is a fast and efficient way to kill the machine.
Might I suggest Linux?
Uh,
Seriously, I've got probably 15 machines in my house that all are NVMe if they'll accept it, or solid state 2.5 inch drives. I haven't lost anything. At work, we have thousands of machines deployed with solid state drives, and we've not lost hardly anything. I,
well, it's probably my selection of drives are being junk cast off things that I've picked up as opposed to buying something new. So,
okay, I can see that.
so here I've got one that's ready to plug in and go. Um, but my level of frustration is based on the fact that in order to get in and go back to a regular hard drive, I have neatly packed everything away and neatly arranged it, and all that stuff has to be taken out, moved, find a flat spot to sit on, open up the machine, and put in uh, this, which is what I took out, replaced with a solid state drive. But my level of frustration comes from the machine I am on now is an Asus laptop that I picked up relatively recently that has a Windows 11. So um, my level of frustration is multiplied, more than multiplied, by having to deal with a different operating system that I do not care for. And Steve, you are correct. If I got off my butt and learned Linux, all of these things could be avoided. Um, but I am too lazy to do that. So,
So, just an anecdotal thing. Years ago, I mean, this was 2010, 2008, somewhere around there. One of my clients was a chiropractor in Hamilton, And their server was a Windows XP machine that had some piece of software on it that the fellow that wrote it was a chiropractor out of Nevada, I think. And it was decent software. It was web-based. It worked. It did what they wanted. It kept track of everything they needed. No need to upgrade anything. One day, his XP machine won't boot, and he's terrified. He gives me a call, and I go up, and it's the power supply. No great loss. This is easy enough to recover from. And he says, well, if the power supply is bad, it's likely that other parts will start failing as reasonably soon. Can you just clone the whole thing onto a new machine? I'm like, yeah, I can do that. So I built him a new machine, had two spinning drives in RAID 1. So anything written to one got written to the second one. It booted Linux, which he never knew about, I don't think, and automatically started a virtual machine running his Windows XP. And every night it would hibernate it, make a backup, bring it out of hibernation, and he just left it running. The only time it ever got restarted was like once every 3 months or so on accident. And he ran that thing at least 10 years because I get a call from some because I left a lot of information, but it booted up and XP came up full screen after the Linux boot. So I get a call years later from some guy that's working on this machine, and he's like, "What the hell is this?" I'm like, "Oh, is that still running?" Yeah. It had 45 days of backups. It was running fine. They hadn't had to do anything. We had recovered from a bad shutdown once, and I told him, "You're going to lose a day's worth of work here." And I just booted the last good running XP, but the thing ran perfectly for years and years and years. It takes about 15 minutes to set up a Linux box to run a VM. KVM is surprisingly easy to use if you've got somebody that shows you the basics of what you need to do. Now, that's it. If you're going to do solid state drives, Samsung, these things are great. They're some of the best drives I've come across. I have tons of them, mostly smaller. I don't like the bigger ones, um, just because it's a lot easier to back up a 512 gig drive than it is a 2 terabyte drive. And most of the ones I've got are 256s. And 256 is enough to run a Linux box for years if you never clean up anything. Updates don't stick around for ever.
Mm-hmm.
So my level of frustration is mostly self-inflicted.
That's true for most of us.
I was going to say, me too.
Yep. I feel it. I feel it. So
So, what are the mechanics of the device?
I actually can't get it the rest of the way out of the case without dissecting it a little bit more, which I'm not willing to do just yet. But it doesn't look like you can see anything. Even if I got it out of the case, it looks like it's all enclosed in a metal tin.
Hmm.
So, there
Needs
is,
to be metal to shield it.
yeah,
That makes
there
sense.
there is a JTAG header on it, and according to M5, it has an STM32 uh chip in it, but otherwise, I'm still I'm still not real sure how it works. So the fact is Hall effect joysticks are supposed to be a whole lot better than the resistive joysticks. So we will see if that is true or not. We will see if I get the frustration.
Well, they say that Advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic.
Yeah, that's a Heinlein quote.
The the biggest problem with this these things, Hall effect joysticks have been a thing for 25 plus years. It's just the other joysticks are cheaper to make, so everybody makes them. It's very it's very rare to actually come across a Hall effect joystick. But uh some game controllers are starting to use Hall effects to combat the whole stick drift thing. Hall effects don't drift apparently. I don't know. This is the first Hall effect joystick I've actually owned, so we'll see how well it actually works.
They make Hall effect keyboards too. So now you can buy something with 100 Hall effect switches for $100. Pretty impressive.
Yeah,
One of my kids, maybe two of my kids, have Hall effect keyboards, and they go on about how they can program different keys for a light press versus a heavy press sort of thing.
really.
Yeah. A light press gives you lowercase, a hard press gives you uppercase, that sort of stuff.
Now that would be interesting.
That would
Um,
drive me nuts, I'll tell you. You
well,
have, you have to have you have to be a piano player for that. Somebody who's very tactile, sensitive.
the youngest son, Duncan,
I can't
types at
play
about
piano with
110
this
words per
fist.
minute, and he's
So,
a very proficient gamer.
so $100 for 100. Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
I mean, this is from a company that sells regular keyboards for $100. So
Yeah.
Well, I guess Hall effects sensors have gotten cheaper over 2 decades, but and better. But the Sega Dreamcast had Hall effect joysticks, and apparently they're one of the few vintage game systems that have not developed stick drift or anything over the years. So should be interesting, should be fun to play with. But I'm more willing to play with that thing.
that mounts on a rail, doesn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, nice.
And it's got isolated inputs and isolated outputs. And it's got a CAN bus and a RS-485 bus and all kinds of buses. Um, it's just not
Literally,
per. Yeah, it's got.
you can tie it into a bus
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
or other car.
How
Yes,
much?
that was $43.
That's pretty good.
It's cheap. Um, it's got the screen. It's got the microcontroller. It's got four relays built into it. I believe. I think it's four relays. Um, it's got
Yeah, Alan Bradley would figure out how to charge you $1,000 for that.
it's got a ton of I/O on the side. It's got the standard M5 Grove port. It's got some buttons. And over here where it's still covered up because it's brand new, there's your CAN bus and your RS 485 bus right there underneath the sticker that says warning, don't do stuff if you don't know what you're doing. And
You break it, you bought it.
that
Yeah.
sticker right there pretty much says the same thing. Don't do stuff if you Professionals only. Install wire and operate correctly. Really, install wire and operate correctly to ensure safety. Um, the only downside to that, it looks like a standard PLC, but it's not programmed in ladder logic. It's programmed Arduino or so.
Interesting.
Yeah.
There's ladder logic available for Arduino.
Yeah,
You can
but
make it into a ladder logic unit.
not for that not for that processor yet.
Really?
Yeah. I looked because I knew Arduino they have an official Arduino board that's a PLC. So I knew that they made software that was ladder logic. But it supports their board, of course. I suspect that eventually somebody will come along with some ladder logic for that because that's what it is. All the isolated inputs, all the isolated outputs. I remember when I learned, of course, this only has four. Looks like it's got 8 inputs and 4 outputs. But I remember when I learned that was a separate module. There was, you know,
Yeah.
there was the control module and then there was 16 inputs and 16 outputs, and it was separate modules.
So what are the outputs on that? Dry contact, transistor, opto?
Well, I'm guessing since it probably would help if I looked and not guessed. Um, but I'm thinking that since they are isolated, they were probably opto isolated. This is called the stamp LC. They're using the P in stamp as part of the PLC name. So it could be Stam PLC or Stamp LC.
Does it say what the switching speed is?
The little demo program that's on here will switch the relays on and off once a second.
Oh, well, okay.
Eight opto isolated in the range from 5 to 36 volts
And 4 relay outputs.
and 4 relay outputs.
That's pretty sweet.
And you could do AC up to 250 and DC 28 volts at 5 amps. So this was going to become the that old robot project that Mark had a long time ago, 2020, 2019, 2020. I was going to see if I couldn't replace the ESP32 that's on it with that thing because it does way more than what the simple ESP32 does. Oh, it's got a temperature sensor, voltage and current sensor. I did not know it had a temperature sensor. Sometimes I don't even know what I buy.
What did I buy?
What I
Well, the trick is remembering what you bought.
buy?
You know,
Yeah.
it arrives 2 months later, and you think, "What did I buy this for?"
43 bucks. That's
40.
cheap.
Well, that's the reason I commented on Alan Bradley. They'll put out the same thing for $1,000, and
Well, Arduino's is like 180, isn't it? 190?
I don't know. I do know that I felt like every time
Oh,
I ordered anything from Alan Bradley, I was getting ripped off.
But it came with the whole team.
Oh yeah.
the whole team. It the Arduino PLC starter kit is almost 400 bucks, and just the Pro Opta, which is their version, is 140 bucks. So $42. That's cheap.
Yeah, that's a good deal.
It's a good deal. Even if it never ever gets ladder logic, it's a good deal. What is what is this?
So Vicente is coming in.
Looks like it should be. What did you
Old storage.
Ooh, nice. Vicente needs that. This has this it's got a little bit of weight to it too. It actually feels like a substantial device. So
Well, I ran across something that you guys might be familiar with or might not. Uh, a friend of mine had a 4K TV, and he said, "Yeah, it's not behaving right. The screen is jumping, and I have a replacement. I need your help unmounting and mounting this on the wall." So I went over, and it was all a physical act where we took the 4K TV he had, uh, unmounted it from the wall rack, took the brackets off, put it on the new TV, plugged it back in, and he didn't remember any of his passwords or access. He's all tied up with cable TV and Roku boxes and all that. And none of that I'm familiar with, and particularly when he doesn't have the uh, passwords or anything like that. So he said, "Do you want this TV?" And I thought, yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'll take it. So I brought it home and hooked it up and turned it on, and it was stable for about a minute and a half. And then the lower line of pixels jumped, and then it jumped up, and then it went jump, 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 jump. So I'm thinking this is a component that is failing when it gets warm. And I looked at the cost of the boards, and I could get the power supply, the main board, and the T-Con for about 20 bucks each. But I wasn't inclined to spend 60 bucks, not knowing that that was, in fact, the problem. So I thought, well, if it's a failing thermally, if I can isolate the component that is failing, I can replace just that component, or if I had to, just that board. So I got out a Ziploc bag, filled it with full of ice, and started applying that to each board in turn. And then I would unplug the TV and discharge anything that I thought might be a capacitor and feel for a warm spot. And I found one heat sink that was really pretty warm. So I concentrated on that with the ice bag or the bag of ice. And it didn't really change anything. So I started looking on the internet for this particular model to see whether anybody had comments about it. And I found a thing that says, oh, don't waste your time on replacing the boards. It isn't the board at all. It's the LED. I thought, well, that's really strange. And he said, well, this is the way you do it. This is the way you troubleshoot it. You take the output from the T-Con, which is 2 ribbon cables, and you disconnect one ribbon cable and fire it up and see whether it jumps. And if it doesn't, then you know that it is the other ribbon cable. And you can take that ribbon cable and take a piece of Scotch tape and cover up half of the contacts and fire it up and see whether it jumps. And if it does, you cover up the other half and see whether it doesn't. So you're going half, quarter, eighth, 16th, 32nd. 1/32, 2/32, which is well, I got it down to where I covered, these are very fine contacts on a ribbon cable. I got it down to where I was covering up 5 contacts. And I left them covered, and it has been working for about 3 or 4 days. Have you guys ever heard of that happening? You're shaking your head, Leroy. Tell me about it.
Uh, well, I've got several things where ribbon cables have gone bad. Either they've been pinched or they've just gotten wet or something, and the cable has had a dead connector in it. So I've seen stuff like that before.
Well, the other thing can happen is a lot of times ribbon cable failures are the contacts, where you insert them. Intermittents, are designed to drive you nuts. I think.
Yeah.
Well, I had pulled all the contacts loose, used carbon cleaner or a contact cleaner and a Q-tip, and brushed not only the receiver but also the male part of it. And from what I could tell from the guy's comments on the internet, it wasn't the cable or the contacts. It was, in fact, the LED that was failing. And
Yeah.
so I haven't delved into it to understand this, but by covering up, I think I'm covering 5 contacts. I can't tell a difference on the screen. It's a 4K resolution, and perhaps I'm just not keen enough to see how that's affecting the outcome. Uh, but I don't understand how I can block any of the signals and not notice a difference.
If you hook it up to a computer and you display pure red, pure green, pure blue, you'll probably be able to see some stripes.
Okay. I had not tried that. I had taken the oscilloscope that you'd given me several years ago, and I was probing to see whether I could find when it thermally failed. but I was looking at the wrong thing. I was looking at the output from the boards and the
Yeah.
signals going through the cable. Uh, the Again, this is internet. The guy had indicated it was an LED itself, and
I've
I'm just not sophisticated enough to understand how I can shut off the input to five of the
well,
contacts.
I don't know for 100% or anything, but it would seem to me if it's a 4K display and you're blocking five lines of resolution, you'll never see a difference.
Yeah,
Um, if those maybe the display is bad, maybe the cable's bad, but you know, you'll never see a difference if you're only blocking, you know, a tiny little percentage
yeah.
of the signal.
Well, I was thinking that if uh, it was a vertical or a horizontal line, I should be able to tell some difference because on the array of contacts, this is the not in the middle, it's at one far end of that. So I would think that something in the display would show either far left, far right, far bottom, far top. And I can't see any of
But
those things.
it may be shifted a bit, but because you're only blocking a very small percentage of it,
Yeah,
it
Also,
you're not seeing it.
also that ribbon cable isn't driving a row or a column.
yes,
It's got a clocked signal on there because
It's yeah,
it's a 4K display. You don't have a 4,000
there-
conductor wide ribbon.
no,
yeah,
I
it's
do
it's
not.
it's some sort of digital signal going in there, but you're
Yeah,
you're you're blocking off part of the signal for for the display to figure out what to display, and it's a very small percentage in the grand scheme of this of the display.
yeah. And I don't understand either the failure mode where it would be fine for a minute and a half or so, and then there'd
Well,
be a
you
single glitch,
you're
and
you're
then
you're probably on the right track with heat. It probably heated up the display. The
And
display probably got hit.
if you
Yeah.
want to go down to testing the individual LEDs on the display board itself, uh, put alcohol on a Q-tip and just go around the board on the LEDs themselves. And if you hear a hiss, that was it. Uh, but I've used alcohol on a Q-tip to find lots of thermal problems. It works really well. It also keeps your fingerprints on longer.
I uh, I used contact cleaner to kind of do that same thing because
Hmm.
I was afraid that the water content of the isopropyl alcohol would zap something inadvertently.
Meh, not much chance. I mean, understand, they wash circuit boards. They can deal with that. The issue isn't water, it's contaminants in water. And if you're using 90% isopropyl, you should be fine.
Yeah,
Don't get it inside of things like speakers, the little buzzers and stuff, because those have a tiny hole and it takes a long time for stuff to get out.
yeah,
But on components themselves, the water's evaporated in 20 seconds. I've never had it be an issue, and I've used that on a lot of stuff that I care about.
yeah. Well, I appreciate that. I simply wasn't in a position where I thought it was worth the chance.
You
I had the
you
contact cleaner, so I
you
just
want to
used
you
it.
want to get a high isopropyl alcohol 90.
Yeah, the 90 or
90% or
92.
Okay.
90,
So
90% or
you're just
better.
looking at it as a cooling agent. You're looking for a thermal cooling.
Right. And the
So,
alcohol carries away heat faster
yeah.
than water does.
And that's kind of what I was doing with the ice in the bag.
Mhm.
So I could do the same type thing by running a
Can,
bag
can,
of ice.
can of air works really well too.
Say
When
again?
a can of air, when it
Oh, Canada.
blows out, it blows cold. It'll cool off ICs and
Yeah.
stuff like that really well. We used to use that in electronics school.
If you hold the can upside down, it'll cause frostbite.
Yep. We used to use can of air in electronics school. We'd get something would be failing and we thought it was heat and you just zap it with the air a few times and if the problem went away, that was the thing that was the problem.
Look in
I
your
don't
solder
have any
joints.
canned air. I have a large compressor.
Ooh,
Uh,
yeah, that'd do it, but watch out for the oil.
yeah,
I
the
wouldn't recommend that.
yeah, I know the can of air stuff works and I know uh isopropyl alcohol works, but you really want a high content.
Well,
So
I don't think I'm going to do anything more than leave it run and see if it fails at some point in the future. If it does, I'm out the cost of a piece of Scotch tape.
My guess on the way the thing works is it's got maybe 50 strings of the tricolor addressable LEDs in it. And you've taken out one entire string of them, which
that's
they're probably interlaced, so that doesn't make much difference.
that's what
Um,
I'm thinking.
and the jumping is because one LED is out, and when it loses its timing, that cascades down the line.
Okay.
I suspect this is probably a bad solder joint, more likely than a bad LED. But even so,
I
you can take
I
out one LED and just jumper it, and you're good.
this cube, this LED right here, this one, just this one has lost its red and blue, but only
Oh,
sometimes.
oh,
Yeah, it's one of those problems where I'm going, oh, I don't want to have to take this whole damn thing apart just to fix one LED. But green works on it just fine.
You could fix
I
that
think
like,
this is a power problem. Honestly, I think one of the power lines is boobaged going to that, but it could be any number of things. And like I said, you've got a 4K resolution. You're taking out five strands of LEDs. You'll never notice the difference.
yeah. Well, I'm kind of reminded of your on your cube, you could fix that the same way most people fix the check engine light on their car.
Yes, that would work really well for that cube.
Black electrical tape over that cube, and you'll never
There,
notice it.
there's a story behind this cube that that I'll that I'll tell. But I wanted to do this first. So the relay, I found a setting where it could go 0.1 second, and I'm going to hit the run button. Do you hear it clicking?
Hmm. No.
No, it's clicking. It's going click 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 click, click
that
like
ain't
a
good for your relay.
no.
No big deal if you don't have power on it. Don't do that when it's powered up.
Well, and it's only this little demo only lets you do one relay at a time too. So Um, the other interesting thing that I noticed, I had it unpowered, right? When I powered it back up, it remembered the state that it was in. It went right back to the relay demo. And I was like, "Oh,
That's cool.
okay, that's cool. That works like how I would expect a PLC to work, remembering its state." So, this is going to be fun to play with now. Now the story behind the cube. So I found a 3D printed half cube. It's really not a cube. This has been something I've wanted to do for years and years and years, is make a 3D cube. The 3D model said 5 by 5.
Almost.
Do you see a problem? Because I didn't see a problem. I didn't realize I had 4 by 4. So I printed one out and it was way too big. I shrunk it down by about 25%, and it's almost right. But you can kind of see where I had to glob some uh hot glue on it just to hold it in place a little bit better. Um, but I didn't just do it once. I did it twice.
So you
So
use that for D&D dice?
I,
Random rolls and a
random
display.
rolls. At this point, it's just running. Well, this one's the only one that I've got a controller on, but it's just running.
Right.
Yeah, it's very bright. Actually, that's dim. I that's like 10%,
Yeah.
and it's still bright.
What's the controller in there?
I've got an ESP 32C3, and that's just the Adafruit demo running
Hmm.
just to make sure that everything worked. And this was just a fun project because that stupid robot camera that I had, I finally got it working. Only the robot just sits there and spins around in circles. It says it sees the line every now and then. It's like, there's the line. I'm going in
Saw it.
circles.
Still going.
There's the line. Going in circles. So I needed a distraction. I needed something to distract my brain so I could figure out why it was doing. And my distraction turned into a 4.5 day project of why is my distraction too damn big? Me not realizing I have a 4 by 4 pixel matrix instead of a 5 by 5 pixel matrix. So from my distraction, I made another distraction. I just kept making distractions for myself. So I am this week has been nothing but distraction. Is that Art? It's Art making all that noise over there.
Huh?
Were you moving your microphone around?
A little bit, but not much.
Oh, it's very bright.
It is.
It's getting ready. It's trying to connect to the Wi-Fi. But this was a distraction from the distraction. I finally finished the project. Well, we're not going to connect to the Wi-Fi, are we? Okay, fine.
Oh, you need another distraction.
I need another distraction. Oh, that's way too bright.
Yeah.
It
I'm
connected to the
assuming
Wi-Fi though.
I'm assuming scrolling text.
Yeah, it's giving the IP address of the display,
Ah,
and that's all it's do. Oh, this one's supposed to set up a website so I could go onto the website and send it a message to display. So this one also has an interesting property because it's blue. It's a blue display. So if we turn it off, you can see it's still glowing because I used the filament that's got the glow in the dark properties.
Oh.
So the blue charges it. It's awesome.
the ultimate slow phosphor.
I really didn't think about that when I did it. It's like, oh, okay. The green doesn't have that issue. The green isn't working for some reason. But my distractions turned into projects. Because here's a third one. Let's see if this one will connect. It's red. And that's scrolling text with the IP address. That's way too
Most
bright.
can read that.
I could, it's not so bad in person, but on the camera it's pretty bright. So I had started working on the robot. Robot was driving me nuts, and I went, okay, I need a distraction, and my distractions turned into days long projects. So I didn't get back to the robot. I still don't really know why it will see the line, and I can get it to focus very well on the line, but it won't drive down the line. It just sits there and spins around. Even though the website for the robot, it creates a website, and as it sees the line, it will say that it's moving forward, but it doesn't. It just sits there and spins. I have no idea why. So I've set for a while to try to figure that out. And it drove me nuts. And that's not really a far drive. I am very close to nuts anyway.
Well, this is not a direct thing, but I think I understand the robot's philosophy. Several years ago, it snowed, and at the time, Julie needed to go someplace for one of her hospice patients or something. So I went out and cleared the snow off the driveway, and the snowplow had come by and piled up snow in front of the driveway, and the people across the street had parked directly in the street, directly across from our driveway. So I told Julie, when you back out, don't turn the normal direction. Turn the other way and go down and go around the court. That way, if you get caught in the rut left by the snowplow, it won't drive you into one of the other vehicles by accident. So I'm standing there with a snow shovel, having cleared the driveway. And she backed out and turned exactly the way I told her not to turn. So I'm thumping the snow shovel and go down. And I said, I told you to turn the other direction. She rolled the window down and said, isn't the snow pretty?
Yep, that's the robot. That line's
Yep.
nice. That line's nice. It's a good line.
Yeah.
Yeah. the only the original program was written by somebody who I think was Japanese, and it's all commented in Japanese. So I use Google Translate to try to figure out most of that. And the only thing I can even come up with is Google Translate was not my friend. It seemed like it was close-ish, but not my friend. But I
A
don't know.
friend of a friend of mine is a master degree electrical engineer, and he was a pastor, a minister in Bolivia, and he did translation to keep himself afloat. He was able to translate English to Spanish and also uh, Portuguese. And so he was hired to translate a technical document. And he called and said, I'm not certain exactly what we have here, but it came down to it being a wooden file. Well, it wasn't a file made out of wood, it was a file intended to work on wood.
Uh,
And so the subtlety in the language of him trying to translate between what the file was made of and what the file was made to work on just came across. I'm thinking that you're having similar subtleties that Google Translate isn't capable of handling.
yep. Like the preposition and the adjective are in the wrong spot or something, and you got to be smarter than the machine to figure out what it is they're actually talking about.
Sounds like a good application for AI.
No, I I actually I wonder how much AI is actually in Translate any now, because Google seems like they have gone all in on this on your searches all are curated now by
Yeah,
AI.
I am impressed with the software questions. They give you examples, almost always give you a solution to your problem. It's
Yep.
amazing.
Well, it's kind of weird though, because I was with these screens, I was looking for something and they gave me a Google AI gave me code. But if I had not known code, if I did not know anything at all about programming, I would have been completely frustrated because the code that they gave me did not work. And it would have just completely frustrated me to the point that I would have given up. So I think it's good for some stuff, but it's not great for other stuff. And I think that's exactly how the translate works. It's good, but it's not great.
Well, I have found that many of the problems that come back from Google searches are as a result of an ambiguous question. And if I rewrite it 4 or 5 or 6 times, changing parameters a little bit, I eventually get a response that makes sense to the question.
See, I think yeah, maybe. But it said something, it seemed to me like it actually had mixed two different kinds of LEDs displays up. Like with the Adafruit NeoPixels, you put LED show to activate whatever you're trying to display. And with this library for those things, you don't need the show. In fact, the show causes all kinds of problems. So, um, so it seemed to me like it saw the word LED and mixed two different types of LEDs. Barry's here. He's
Yo,
hiding.
Barry.
Very,
Ho, ho, ho.
hi.
What'd I miss? I almost forgot. Oh,
You missed good stuff. Stuff about robots.
yeah, figures.
Stuff
You guys
about do what?
seen the new Zima 2 board?
What? Tell me more.
Oh, it's the you remember you've seen the Zima, haven't you?
Mm, maybe.
So I guess the Zima 2 came out, I don't know, last week or this week or something. It's got an Intel chip on it now and a dual Intel 2.5 gigahertz network built into it. Those little micro form factor, like it's a little bit bigger than a Raspberry Pi with a heat sink built on
Oh,
it.
oh, yep. Okay.
But there's a 32 gig memory version of it or something too, or 16.
Thank you.
Un pedacito del de Vicky.
Great.
Yo lo mordí.
How much?
The 8 gig models like 169 or something, and then
Oh,
like the 16 or something's like 200-ish.
okay.
One of the guys I watch, he actually put Proxmox on it and then built a um firewall on it and then put both NIC cards into the firewall, and then it's got a PCI 3 X4 lane plug on it so you can plug in a network card so that he could get back onto it to uh, bond the Proxmox server to the LAN side of the firewall. It was interesting. He ran like some Linux containers and stuff on it, but it really maxes out the 8 meg, but it still ran all right.
Hmm.
Something else I saw too this week, and I was wanting to bring up, but I can't remember.
I wonder how they're going to get around the tariff for this board. It says I found it. I found it. It's on Kickstarter, isn't it?
But it might still be. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, I don't think it's started shipping yet.
Estimated delivery is August of 2025.
Oh, really? I thought it's already out. There's people on YouTube that I watch are already playing with them.
Oh. Hmm. I don't know. I
I found what my other thing was. The You guys ever heard of the L glue or L goo? 3D
Elgu.
printers.
Telugu?
Yeah.
Um, they if it's the same company I think it is, they make a bunch of electronic parts.
Mhm.
I didn't know they were getting into 3D printing though.
3D printing, resin 3D printers.
So I watched a guy do a breakdown on this one, and it's 299, and it's competes with the Carbon X1.
Oh, that's cheap. Wow.
Somebody just got distracted.
They
Ah,
said the only real difference is, of course, it's not locked into the thing, so you can use more stuff on it.
yeah.
But then the only thing his real complaint about it was is the wiring is a little hard to plug back in when you got to take the nozzle out to clean it because
Okay.
it
Yeah.
sits back in a little cubby thing, so it's a little tricky to plug it back in compared to the Carbon X1 or whatever. But for the price difference, it's like derpa derpa.
Wow. They have robot kits that are more expensive than that printer.
Well, that's what I thought. I was just say if you guys had never messed with any of their stuff, well, I'd seriously tempted for the price to go ahead and order one
Oh,
before they.
honestly, I didn't know they were making 3D printers, so they have some it looks like they have some open frame printers too that are really reasonable in price. Is Micro Center selling?
Not yet.
Not yet.
I
Micro Center.
imagine.
Oh, go ahead.
I'd imagine they have a deal with the Carbons, to be honest, that probably keep them from doing that.
Oh, they do have Micro Center does have a couple of their open frame and a couple of their SLAs.
Oh, do they?
Yeah,
Oh,
but I don't see oh the Saturn. That's not the same. Nope, that's an SLA. That's an SLA printer. That's not the same. Hmm, it's kind of interesting. Micro Center does have the Cobra 3 on sale for $400. So they've got three of them left in uh Sharonville. I honestly thought about going to get another one. I don't know if I will. Okay, somebody say something.
I'm poking around on their website. I like the Orange Storm Giga. If I had a spare $2,500, that'd be sweet. It's got a build volume of 800 by 800 by 1,000 millimeters.
Okay.
I have
Um,
new stuff from M5 Stack.
did yours get here today?
Yeah,
Yep.
this is a H driver for motors. It used the atom light, I think. This is also OLED camera. This is a all stuff. This is a thermal camera. This is a new M5 stick plus two. This is all the day was arriving at different times of the day in different packages, but from the same place. I don't know why they don't put everything together. This is like $100, right?
That?
M5 Stack removes the store from AliExpress
Yep.
until they solve the problem with the tariffs.
Yep. Yeah. And it got here in plenty of time. So I should have ordered more stuff.
We have until when? Tomorrow? Or
No,
we have
they stopped altogether selling to the US.
no.
Oh, Ray's here. I gotta let Ray in. I gotta let Ray in the door.
So, in terms of the tariffs, is it when it ships or when it arrives at port of entry?
I think it's when it clears customs.
I
Yeah,
think
it's in the port of entry.
yep.
Well, I have a question for Barry. Did you solve your hydraulic cylinder compatibility problem with the threads?
Yep. The
I'm curious, what was it a difference between uh, imperial units and SI, or what was it, the
well,
threading problem?
so ironically, evidently all hydraulics
Nobody knows.
are all in American, but there's SAE, there's JCS, which is a military high pressure threading, and then there's MIPS, which is general plumbing. So it's just a thread count ratio for how many threads there are per inch. So the cylinder was SAE, whatever. Dad bought some plumbing stuff, which I guess was MIPS, and so it's the same. They were both half inch. They wouldn't screw in. Um, and then when you get an actual hydraulic fitting instead of the plumbing stuff, um, you got to watch between SAE and JCS or whatever. So is Ray trying to say something?
No.
Oh, okay. No, the screen went to Ray, so I just
Oh,
Background noise.
gotcha.
Ray's
Yeah,
in. Do what?
once we tried to use one of the lines we got from you, and it sprayed everywhere, and then I guess they forgot to put the seals in or something silly. Um, so
One of the lines I gave you was defective.
yeah,
Oh, I'm
it,
sorry to hear that. I had no idea.
well, as I say, I understand. We didn't know what to expect either, and that was part of the reason why we had MIP stuff because it was to couple it from, you know, it was a female to, and we needed males to hook into the T anyway. But it was spraying out the front side and it was spraying out the back side of the connector, and I was like, well, that's not right.
So it was
So
the hose itself or simply the connector?
the connector. So it's like I'm assuming that probably what happened is somebody used the wrong connectors on the at least the thin hose stuff. We haven't done anything to test the heavy duty stuff yet, but that or there's a different coupler interface for the one because the one's cone shaped inside on the heavier ones. Um, so it could just be that it needs JCS threading. I don't know, but the one was spraying both out of both ends. The coupler like from around the rubber hosing and or the thing. So I'm kind of wondering if like a kid made it and they used the wrong stuff. But we went and got another hose because Dad had bought hoses for the other sections, and when we got that, then the problem was is the new stuff is a lot bigger than the old brass stuff for the elbows. So then the elbows were hitting the 2x3 stand up when you raise the bucket so far. So then we flipped the hydraulics around, bought another line, which got let us get rid of all the MIPS junk, and then it was all straight hydraulic SAE stuff. So and now the bucket will go like 3 feet higher than it used to. Works really nice now.
I know I got into the conversation a bit late, but what are you repairing?
We had a hydraulic bucket on the front of the old Massey Ferguson, and Dad dropped a tree through it, and it blew the hydraulic line and bent one of the shafts. And they don't make 1960 single port drive hydraulics anymore. So uh,
Have the two original ends.
Very good, careful. Sorry,
Huh?
fixed. Already fixed.
so but yeah, it snapped the brass fitting off the one cylinder when line blew, I guess, and then the cylinder bent. And I bought some cylinders back in the fall that were two stroke, and then uh, had a little. I mean, because they don't make the same style anymore either. So for the same length, like that one was like I think we needed like 40-inch or something cylinder, but then our old one only had like a 12-inch stroke or something. And I couldn't really find anything like that, so I ended up getting like a 40-inch with like a higher poundage that was a 36-inch stroke that was in the same diameter shaft. But and then we just didn't use the top plugs. So far, it's working really smooth. It's a lot better than our old one. It's a lot more controlled. Doesn't bounce. So I guess there's been a little bit of improvements in hydraulics over the last 60 years or something.
Yeah, probably.
But we don't have it. That's the one thing that we kind of lost is because the old one, the shaft was like, I don't know, when it was attached, it was already out 5 or 6 inches, so you could actually like dig a little. This one, there's not a lot, and we only have like a spare 2 inches at the end. Um, so not going to do a lot of digging with it, I don't think. But plus, we still got to take the bucket off and weld the bucket all back up because it's broke off 3 prongs and busted the plate steel off 2 of the other prongs. So it's the front half of it's just barely on there still. But I was told somebody it was really kind of cool too. Is that Dad got like two 4x4, I don't know, like 15-foot lengths of some kind of tube stock steel with like half-inch plate welded on the end of it, and it fits just between the two support bars on the armature to act as like a fork truck slash boom attachment, which is really nice. Just slots right in there above the bucket.
So is it attached to the bucket where you can reach into a pickup bed at some distance?
Not particularly. It's more like a manure scoop shovel bucket. Just
Okay.
um, I don't know exactly what they used it. They probably used it to, we've used it to move gravel and dirt and mud mostly. But Grandpa, had cattle and 180-acre farm or something. I don't know what all they used it for way back in the day.
What are you
But
what are you trying to show us, Vicente?
No, I'm trying to focus the image.
Okay.
Well, you got it
Hold on
right
for a
There,
about
second.
there,
there.
there it goes. That's
Yeah.
kind of focused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
that
it's just I am just testing this thing. The
it's not your GPS coordinates.
Yeah, will be. No, it's hard to focus.
Yeah, it's pretty bright.
No,
It can't focus real well on it.
yeah, that's why I use this lamp
Oh,
to,
Oh,
to
okay.
make it more bright for compensation or something.
It did focus
Art's
for.
doing the same thing I'm
it
doing. I leaning forward to the screen like I can see it better.
Mm.
it squinting at it. Yeah, I can make it out.
No
I
way.
say it was clear there at
It it
times.
it was clear for a second.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
like
It's
that. You, you can't you can't make that out. It's just
yes, hard. I have another one here. See, this one is working for several days. 6 million uh, messages.
oh, is this your one of your tests to
Yeah,
for
yeah,
the thing?
Oh, there it was clear.
Yep.
Yep.
yeah. The hardest solder I made ever is microphones. I don't know if you can see the microphone.
Uh,
The little silver box.
This is really teeny. I soldered four of them. Uh, Here you see 1, 2, 3, 4, and all of them are working. So was a successful soldering of the microphones. They are really tiny.
Sweet. So I should bring my truck computer over and you can replace some capacitors.
Mhm.
You're a cyborg.
I was to say new HUD
And
display.
this the I am waiting for the motion controller for two motors, you know. But meanwhile, I bought two individual controllers for motors. This is the H driver. See?
Yep.
But you only control one motor with this. You have the power supply here and the motor connected here, the other two pins. They sell it with a pluggable connector. It's very useful. With the screws.
Yep. I got
Somewhere.
I've got a couple of those, but I probably have the version 1 of them that
What can you do with a single motor?
I bought them and then I didn't do anything with it. So, like
Ah,
many,
maybe an
many of my
elevator.
projects.
An
Maybe an
elevator.
elevator. Yep. Many, many of my projects, they
Or
sit around.
maybe a fan controller. You can control light intensity also with this driver. I am working with these microphones, recording both microphones simultaneously and comparing the two waves to find out where the sound comes from. And it's working. It's a very simple thing. I soldered those microphones because they claim that they are high frequency, but I think that they perform exactly like the old ones I was using. So I will continue using the Adafruit breakout boards of microphones, other ones that supposedly are lower frequency, but they perform likely. So it's very hard to solder this one. There is no breakout board for them. A guy in OSHA Park shared the PCBs as a project, so you can buy 8 boards, and in mouse you can buy the microphone to solder. The board can use different microphones, but it's compatible with this one, the footprint. So I match both to test the microphone.
Are you looking at a particular frequency, Vincente?
I want to reach 20 kilohertz, the full audio range, because usually most of the microphones after 10 kilohertz doesn't perform very well. They have very low gain, after 10. But this one, they say that it's good until 20 kilohertz. But for me, it behaves like the other one, more or less. they have a maximum frequency for the clock. And the new one, if you go above for 20%, it doesn't work. And in the old one, you can go double the maximum and it's still working, but they don't specify that it's possible, but it works, so I'm a little confused about which one to use, but I rather keep myself inside the specification because when you try to repeat some experiments, you are working out of the specification, you will end with a sample that doesn't work and you will become crazy trying to figure out what's going on. It happens to me hundreds of times in the past working with different stuff. So you must try to keep inside the specification. So don't be confident with a random sample that works because it won't happen always.
Well, this is not exactly the same, but early on in my career, we were having problems with 6 open hearth furnace scrubber fans. They were 10,000 horsepower apiece. They were outputting 160 hertz, but when they would load and unload, that frequency would vary by a few. And they were lined up kind of diagonal to the community. And as the fans would load and unload, the nodes and antinodes would move around in the community. And some people would complain that this low frequency would pass right through a regular frame wood construction. Masonry would kind of dampen it a little bit, but they would complain that we were in the bedroom and it felt like somebody had jumped a diesel locomotive in the bed. So I was trying to figure out what was going on and how we could prevent it from happening. And it turned out that we had to make a Helmholtz resonator between the scrubber portion and the stack. And they originally put together a fiberglass box filled with absorbent material. But instead of making 1/2-inch holes to let the sound into the Helmholtz resonator, they drilled 3-inch holes, 1/2 inch apart. And when the scrubber started up, it sucked the plastic bag open through the opening and burst them. So going out of the top of the open hearth stack was this foam that was just like erupting from a Roman candle falling all over. I suggested to the engineer that I was working with that we scrape up that foam and charge it in the open hearth, let it absorb the noise on the way through, and that the sound energy would be absorbed by the phone. He didn't think that was such a great idea.
Wonder why.
Yeah, no, little humor. He didn't have very much on that.
Vicente, have you
Uh,
tried the little microphones they use on the ultrasonic distance sensors? Seems like those would be perfect. I mean, that's what they're designed for.
but the bigger one,
Yeah, the little silver cans, they're 1/2 inch.
yeah, but I rather want these microphones because they transmit digitally
Ah,
the sound very clean without distortion. I started using those and standard microphones, analog microphones, but the new ones are amazing. Are omnidirectional and very precise, very very good gain. You can almost put them inside a box or up and down, up down side or whatever. They catch the sound every always. Are those used in the phones? You know, just a little hole in the case, and the microphone is inside, maybe half an inch sometimes inside the phone, and it catches the sound always. So there is no comparison. And I already have the signal digitized, so I can operate the values, and it's easy to use DMA catch to take the sound to the memory and process the sound. And meanwhile, you have another buffer that is filling in with additional sound, and you are working in one buffer, release the buffer, take the new one, and always have a buffer full of sound to work. I like how the I2S bus is integrated in the ESP32, in the STM32 micros also. I started with analog to digital conversion like 5 years ago and did a lot of work with that, but I was working a lot with filters, digital filters, analog filters. Now it's very easy just to take the sound, clip the frequencies you don't want, and process the signal really fast. There are digital filters in the online calculators, and you can just take the C++ function, the filter, without just doing nothing, just plug in your program and you filter your signal very easy. The filters are using float point math, floating point. I am changing them to integer math to make it really faster for my application, but it's the same filter, Instead of multiply for 0.005 anything, I used to multiply for an integer and divide for another integer to produce the same multiplication, and it's really faster.
I thought you said they weren't working the way you wanted.
Excuse me?
I thought you said they weren't working the way you wanted.
Yeah, I compare both signals with one filter and the other one and overlap them in a plotter in the screen, and they exactly the same signal, but you do it in a 20 times faster with integers. It's a lot of carpenter to adjust the function, but it pay off, for speed for my application. I need to process several signals from different microphones that comes from different beacons and correlate all the data with all the functions, the signals that are coming, and decide what's the distance. You don't have time with a ESP32 to do that with floating point maths. So I'm going slow, but I am enjoying the trip, the voyage.
So
What's that?
I
Is
that's
a
that
joystick?
that's that joystick, yeah.
Another one of the same one.
That's the new one, the joystick 2 from M5 Stack, the Hall effect.
Wow.
Hall effect joystick.
And you have the values, or you need to read the sensors.
So
It's I2C, I mean.
Yeah, it's I2C.
So you have the values of the
I I
of each
just
apps.
I'm running the test program over here, which only displays serial data right now. But with the 8-bit data, it is very, very stable. With the 16-bit data, it does jump around a little bit. So it looks like the midpoint is 130 by 124 for this particular sensor. And then it'll go up to 256.
Okay.
Well, actually 253. And it'll go down to 0. And it'll go in the Y, it'll go to 254 and down to 0. So
Yeah.
it's and it's reading, oh, now it's reading 129, but it seems like it's a whole lot more stable than, because it's a constant 100, 130, 130, 130. It's not jumping all over the place.
Okay. Great. Anyway, you need to have a gray zone to
Yeah,
prevent any
there's
movement.
there's a little bit of fluctuation, but it's not much because it just jumped to 131,
Yeah, but
but now
you
it's
must
real steady at 131.
you must deprecate or don't use values close to the stationary point.
To the
I
center
mean,
point. Yeah,
yeah.
it's real sensitive. Wow. Just barely touch it and it changes.
Amazon is still selling M5 stack or no?
Yeah, that 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 came today with the with that thing.
From Amazon?
Nope, from China.
Okay.
I ordered this stuff the same time you ordered yours.
Pero Amazon is selling M5 stack stuff.
Are they selling it?
Yeah.
Mauser has some. They don't have all of it.
They deliver tomorrow everything. Let me show my screen share.
Maybe. Hang on. Oh, wait. Yes. Okay. You should be
Mm,
able to. I
okay, you
think.
see?
I
This
think.
is
Maybe not.
share
There we
there.
go.
Okay, this is Amazon. Deliver tomorrow. And the prices are the old ones. You see?
Mhm. Those are those are US prices too.
Well, I bought this thing for 19 bucks from M5 Stack plus shipping. So maybe at the end was almost the same. Uh,
Yeah,
mm,
but that little blue one up there, go
but
go back. Go back. Nope, not that one.
that's
That that's
uh-huh.
$5. That's $5 on at M5 Stack.
Okay.
That thing is the size of a
Yeah, of the connector of USB connector. Look at
yeah,
the connector.
that thing's tiny. That
Tiny,
ain't
yeah.
gonna cost no $10 to ship.
I saw yours in a meeting. It's really, really tiny.
Yeah, it's the size of like a
Mm,
knuckle.
Page. This is price stack. This price is for what? The cable?
Cable. Yep, that's what it says. A cable.
Cable, yeah.
A cable.
Oh my God. And they put the picture of the. Mhm. I'm waiting for
Waveshare.
one of these.
Waveshare is selling some really cool stuff here
Yeah,
lately.
yeah. They are copying the same style of M5 stack.
Mm-hmm. M's.
The PLC is new, right?
Yep.
Maybe they don't have it in the in Amazon. And this is adapter. But they put this. Uh, this is crazy. This costs $5
Yep.
from M5 stack.
$5, $6. It doesn't cost nowhere near 37 bucks.
Mm.
Oh, look at what
I
they
like
want
the
for an Echo. An Echo is 50, 55 bucks. That's crazy.
yeah.
They gotta get their money while they can.
I saw the Arduino starter kit back there. It's like the ultimate starter kit. They're selling for $65, and I find them quite
This
often
one.
for 30.
No, this is a electronic kit.
That's an electronic kit. Yeah, that's kind of cool. I don't know
Yeah,
if it's worth 70 bucks, but
yeah. I used to love these kits. They have a LCD screen, you see, and this is like let me-
it's like a old Radio
uh,
Shack kit.
and this is NeoPixels or push buttons here.
I don't know.
I don't know.
For for the Raspberry Pi Pico too. That's kind of cool. I suppose if you were learning electronics or learning programming, that might not be so bad, but having an all-in-one kind of kit for it.
This price looks fair, right?
I think they're
The
I think they're
computer.
35, 32 on M5 stack. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
this
probably
is
not too
with the
bad.
shipping. Yeah, and this is the Echo.
Yeah.
You
See,
consider the shipping?
I'm pretty sure I only paid like 10 bucks a piece for the Echoes.
No, they used to be more than that. 13, 14.
Maybe they were 13.
Mm. I bought a couple of this Atom Light for the Ash drive and the mobile driver, the motion driver,
Mm-hmm.
the ones you have. But this is the new one with the voltage uh, sensor,
Yep.
power supply uh, sensor. Mm, That's it.
I find M5 stack stuff on eBay. But you gotta sort by being in the States.
And the
And
prices are good.
uh some of them are really good and some of them are way out. Just 100 bucks for a controller, and I'm sitting there going, that controller wasn't $100 when it was new.
Well, early on when I logged in, I said I was frustrated with the solid state drives, and that's been running in the background. And I have determined it wasn't the solid state drive, it's a main board failure. So I regret to inform you that the problem wasn't as initially diagnosed.
Well, that happens.
Uh, my sister was in the hospital late last year, and I was reminded of the joke where the guy is there in the hospital bed and his buddies come in, and there's a sample container there sitting there waiting for the guy to produce a urine sample, go to lab. And his buddy says, "Well, let's see what happens with this." And he pulls out a flask and pours the sample container. And the next day, the report comes back to the patient and says, "We regret to inform you your horse has diabetes."
Oh,
I think
Too much sugar.
I think I've given the computer the wrong information. I've lost. I'm losing various components every time I reboot, and right now I have lost uh, the high-speed adapter for Cat5 cable. So I think I'm in the market for a new main board.
sounds like it.
Yeah.
So, um, next week we are in person in Westchester at Midpoint, and it's a 5:30 meeting. It starts at 5:30, not 5 o'clock.
Okay.
So it's a half hour later, and we've got the room until 7:30. So same amount of time, it's just a half hour later. And then we probably could go out to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Sadly, I won't be able to make that one.
yeah, you're going to be in Florida, aren't you?
Yeah,
Yeah. Enjoy your vacation.
I'll probably be eating sometime about the same time.
Yeah, probably. It probably as good, if not better food.
Well,
Hopefully steak.
undoubtedly he's going to have better company.
I don't know.
Well, all right, guys. I'll see everybody next week, hopefully. Well,
Good night.
with the exception of Steve.
I'll
See
be
you
there in Seoul.
in spirit. I'll see you guys later.
Okay.
See ya.
Bye.
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 Bye.